udah kehapus tuh dari nulis.
Tadi soalnya keselip ya. Padahal udah tak atur jangan pasang loh.
Paling banyak Aku mager kemarin. Apa sih surprise hari itu gambar? Aku meningkatkan malah pasti kenapa menjauh-menjauh di sana ya? Kayaknya gimana gitu ya? Berwarna teman nggak kayak dipakai muridnya. Alamannya itu gimana gitu? Namanya Hari Siklus lah. Bajunya kimia. Tapi ini enggak kayaknya. Enggak ada syarat. Belakangan aku punya HP. Ya, pokoknya berapa tuh? Kayak aslinya kamera handphone udah habis. Kayak begini. Gambar bisa kayak nyata gitu. Kayak mata kita. Oh, jangan mengada-ada. Kaget aku. Shock aku. Keleteran. Astagfirullah, paham sampai buru-buru. Oh, orang itu biasa aja ya. Kamu udah? Udah kemarin. Dia habis pusatnya. Ini kelar ya. Kelar dia mah. Iya. Sering melihat Ini
bener benar.
Iya, ini ada. Boleh deh. Kamu nggak mau.
Kayaknya perlu deh.
Enggak, aku mau yang tadi. Aku dia. Gimana caranya? Kirimin ke aku.
Kenapa? Tutup kaca?
Pas pakai thank you.
Sampai
Alay banget aku.
katanya miring ya? Cepot kakinya dia.
Mana ya udah tinggal dulu.
Gimana mas? Udah lulusan belum? Nggak tahu. Miringnya kemana? Coba.
Ayo Pak.
BM Kakak Bus
Miringnya kemana?
BM jadi ini ya presenter.
Pak aku lupa membeli.
Ya, enak stiker.
Aku nanti
Tahun depan kita yang jadi yang jadi presenter ya.
Yang lihat miring siapa sih?
Ini framing ini yang
jadi presenter apa itu?
karena ini
Di situ
sebenarnya
waktu dibagi kelas tuh ya? Waktu presentasinya.
apa Mbak? Edung Rom.
Pokoknya iya kan? Iya sih?
Nggak akan kecewa.
Itu ya tuh. Pokoknya di kelas-kelas itu.
Praktis.
Unboxing gitu.
Nggak ada isinya lagi.
Bagus tuh Mbak. Semua
Kalau nggak lihat-lihat oh di sini ya? Oh enggak ya?
Rika ini streaming IG-nya Rika di belakang streaming IG-nya.
Oh iya. Oh di sini semua berarti ya? Presentasi itu yang mana sih? Iya, paper presentasi itu ya?
IG-nya Rika di samping.
Oh di sini. Iya. Enggak. 5, 6 lantai.
Rika
Oh,
streaming
lantai
IG-nya
5,
di
lantai 6
samping.
dan lantai 7.
Di dekat
Kelas
YouTube.
kelas
Kayak di sini aja posisinya yang sesuai.
jam 12. Habis makan siang. Oh di sini kita sampai jam 1. Habis
Yang penting kan nanti sana postingnya. Coba aja. Coba aja. Ini apa masuk? Mulai. Ini kan sambutan di situ.
Biasanya nyala.
nyala fotonya beda-beda.
Sepi tadi udah chat.
Tahu.
Belum rame loh. Ya, ayo nggak bisa. Nggak apa-apa ya. Fotoin kita berdua. Pakai HP-nya apa? Masih cat.
Ini lagi. Salah tidur. Oh, ya.
Tadi itu masih di rumah, nggak tahu ini.
Enggak, ini kami garis tinggi dulu. Karena yang diambil cuma segini lah. Jadi nggak bisa lihat. Oh iya.
Di grup ini kamu pengen gambar ini apa kita berwarna ini sama 3 hari dia jadi 15. Oh, punya gebetan dia. Oh, gini dia ya. Masih tahu di sana. Cari jodoh. Yang ini bisa.
Rika masuk kelas sama Babil nggak? Rizky suka sama Babil lagi. Babil kurang apa? Upload ya, nantain lah. Tahun berapa? 1 juta. Mbak Yung.
Iya, mulus banget. Kalian pada ngumpul di mana? Pokoknya A sama B atau B ada yang berapa itu setelahnya? Kok dia dapat? Oh iya. Itu panjang. Ya ampun sama Anton.
To the all participants and audience, we would like you to enter the room because ISE 2019 will be commencing soon. Thank you.
To all the audiences and to all participants, please come to the hall because we are going to start the opening ceremony.
Jangan lah, nggak berani aku. loh Sony Erlangga, itu selalu ini loh Sony. Makanya kamu ini ya. Makanya tuh Sony Erlangga itu, makanya kok lihat namanya tuh kayaknya ini kan apa? Sony, oh iya. Mau aku penasaran ini orang tiap hari loh dia tuh ini loh mbak. Mbak ini loh Sony kebanyakan itu dia loh. Ini gigi ini kan banget tahu orangnya tuh penasaran sama bising akhirnya gue sekelas.
Mas kan? Mas kan?
Siapa yang direktur ini siapa ya.
Terus kita tuh kayak ngajuin pertanyaan gitu sama pesertanya. Iya.
Premium.
Ya, kesana nih. aja tuh udah di perbedaan budaya.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 5th International Seminar on Science Education under theme of Industrial Revolution 4.0, Impacts, Challenges, and Strategies in Science Education. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
First, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Muhammad Hanif Adienda.
And I'm Luluatun Aziza.
Starting our program today, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to Your Excellency, Rector of Yogyakarta State University, Professor Dr. Sutrisna Wibawa, MPD.
The Excellency, the Director of Postgraduate Program of Yogyakarta State University, Professor Dr. Marsigit MA.
Your Excellency, Professor Wayne Dawson from the University of Western Australia,
The Excellency, Professor Dr. Ozgul Yilmaz Tuzen from Middle East Technical University, Turkey.
And the Excellency, Professor Sin Kai Wu from National Taiwan Normal University, China, Taipei.
The Excellency, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Ali Samsudin from University Science Malaysia, Malaysia.
And to all the lecturers of Yogyakarta State University.
And all the speakers and participants of ISE 2019.
We would like to say thanks to our sponsors and media partners, which consists of Ortindo,
Adi TV,
Magenta,
Lim UNY,
GKTV,
Prime Plaza Hotel,
Happy Papi,
Dewi Media Lestari,
Bowling,
Kopma UNY,
Guru Batik,
Susu Sarjana.
and the last is Champs Batik.
In this special occasion, we have several agenda as follows. The first is opening.
Followed by singing Indonesia's national anthem.
The third is speeches.
Next on we will have traditional dance performance,
The fifth is lecture plenary session from invited speakers.
which will be followed by parallel sessions.
And the last is closing.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now let's open the ceremony by singing Indonesia's national anthem, Indonesia Raya. To all audiences, please stand up.
Pada di sana
To all the audience, please be seated.
Now we will have welcoming speech by Chairman of ISE 2019, Mr. Tri Ramadan SPD. To Mr. Tri Ramadan SPD, please come to the stage.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. For the Excellency Profesor Dr. Sutrisno Wibawa MPD, Director of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. For the Excellency Profesor Dr. Marsikit MA, Graduate School of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. For the Excellency Profesor Dr. Özgür Yilmaz Tujuin from Middle East Technical University, Turkey. For the Excellency Prof. Shin Kai-Wu from National Taiwan University, China, Taipei. For the Excellency Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Ali from University Science Malaysia, Malaysia. For the Excellency Professor Phil Dawson from the University of Western Australia, Australia. For the Excellency, the lecturers, and those present and the participant of International Seminar on Science Education 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, here I am as the representative of International Seminar on Science Education 2019. I would like to deliver some speech. First, the amount of participants of International Seminar on Science Education 2019 is 124 presenters, 7 co-authors, and 118 participants. Second, the theme of International Seminar on Science Education 2019, Industrial Revolution 4.0, Impact, Challenge, and Strategies in Science Education. The third, we hope that this event will establish the academic atmosphere among the students, lecturers, and the others. It may also facilitate the Civitas Academica and Publishing Research Project, especially in Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta. And in the end, I, representing the committee, to apologize for the imperfection of International Seminar on Science Education 2019. Thank you so much. Enjoy the event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Tri Ramadan SPD.
The next agenda is welcoming speech by Director of Yogyakarta State University, Professor Dr. Sutrisno Wibawa MPD, along with hitting the gong as a symbolic opening of ISE 2019. For Professor Dr. Sutrisno Wibawa MPD, the floor is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, welcome di Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta, Yogyakarta State University. Honorable Professor Phil Dawson from the University of Western Australia. Stand up, please. Please applause. Thank you very much. To Prof. Shin Kai-Wu from National Taiwan University. Thank you very much. Three, Professor Dr. Özgür Yilmaz Tujuin from Middle East Technical University. And last, Associate Professor Dr. Muhammad Ali Samsudin from University Salman. yang saya hormati, my peace and good blessing be upon all of us. Entering the industrial revolution 4.0 era, higher education is demanded to adjust itself in the rapid development of science education. The use of technology is the way an individual to get information. The volume of information available has grown so much and also fast. For this reason, science, learning, and education have to change. Scientists need to shorten the information on the hand to multiple size. If scientists and teachers do not rapidly adjust their scientific learning and education, we will find our students and ourselves involved in the permanently destructive and fatal change we never predicted before. Students need to understand how they can correlate views and apply different knowledge in diversified contexts. Moreover, they should be guided to learn on how they live among different subjects to develop and create something that connects the real world. It is therefore the opportunity for discussing the most state of the areas of emerging interest in science education. Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta State University is committed to dedicate more effort and energy to help foster the development of education, especially in science education. It is expected that this international seminar establish long-term, profitable, and sustainable communication among researchers, students, and practitioners with common interest. This forum is also projected to encourage research and students to present and publish their research findings in internationally reputed journal. Finally, my appreciation and gratitude for all committee members from the graduate program of Universitas Negeri Yogyakarta to prepare all important aspect of this seminar. Kepada adik-adik panitia, sekali lagi saya mengucapkan terima kasih. Saya melihat semangat yang luar biasa dalam penyelenggaraan seminar. Dan seminar ini selain untuk mempresentasikan hasil-hasil riset, saya berharap bisa menunjukkan publikasi internasional yang terindeks baik dalam bentuk prosedur maupun dalam bentuk jurnal, sehingga seminar ini menjadi bagian dari pengembangan akademik di program pasca sarjana, sekaligus untuk menunjukkan hasil-hasil riset yang kita lakukan kepada dunia. Karena hanya dengan forum seperti ini, maka hasil-hasil riset yang kita lakukan itu tersosialisasi dan bisa ditindaklanjuti dalam riset-riset berikutnya dan bisa menjadi referensi untuk penelitian-penelitian selanjutnya. Sehingga saya berharap forum ini bisa dimanfaatkan sebaik-baiknya. It is also our honor to have the all invited speaker and panel speaker who have been willing to share ideas in this international seminar, in 5 international seminar on science education. Industrial Revolution 4.0
Kan nanti di kelas toh.
challenger baca ini and
Tanya-tanya lah, Bi.
strategies saya education kelihatan dari sini, mohon maaf. Saying Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare seminar internasional pendidikan sains officially open. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Now, please, the director, the chairman of ISE, and all the invited speaker, please take the position to take photo session.
We kindly ask the director,
Please take the photo station first.
invited speakers, and all faculty members of the Jakarta State University to come up to stage for taking photo session.
Dia bagi baju di sini ya. Itu kayak batik nggak sih? Bagus yang kemarin tuh loh bajunya itu. Kayak kemarin tuh kayak itu. Hanya kebalik ini. Kayak orang sakit beneran.
Thank you for Professor Dr. Sutrisna Wibawa MPD and all the invited speaker and also all the invited guests.
For the next agenda, we will have traditional dance performance. Tari Nusantara represents the beauty of Indonesian culture. This dance is oriented to dynamic and energetic Indonesian dance movement from Java, Sumatra, Betawi, and Bali. As a beautiful
Please welcome the dance Tari Nusantara.
Lah, kok udah mbak? Ya, udah lama.
Thank you for the splendid performance.
Well, the next agenda is the first plenary session lecture by our speakers, Professor Phil Dawson from the University of Western Australia and Professor Dr. Ozgul Yilmaz Tuzen from Middle East Technical University, Turkey. And this challenge will be moderated by Dr. Agung Wijaya Subiantoro, MPD.
Dr. Agung Wijaya Subiantoro is a biology lecturer from Yogyakarta State University. To Dr. Agung Wijaya Subiantoro, MPD, please come to the stage.
Aku juga salah. Kamu yang dapat. Ini masih di. Judulku malah Adi Bayana.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you all here fine and preparing for the test. It is really great to be here. It is really great to be here in one patient of the International Seminar on Science Education, which is organized by graduate program of Universitas Negeri Jakarta. And I'm really honored to lead this first main session of this IISSE, which is we will have two speakers in science education research. I will introduce shortly about them, and yeah, the first speakers is Professor Phil Dawson, and the second speakers is Professor Ozgul Tuzen. Both of these speakers will talk about one of the great interest topic in science education research contemporary, is what called as socio-scientific issues. Please welcome to Professor Phil Dawson and Professor Ozgul Tuzen.
Ya ampun, lihat. Fisika ya? Ini dapat di mana? Oh, sebentar deh. Mana aku follow dia? Kiri kanan. Aduh, seperti istrinya ya.
In this first session, the first speaker is Professor Phil Dawson, and she will talk about the scientific issues as well as challenge in the configurations and classifications. And the second speaker is Professor Oscar Kuzun, also will talk about scientific issues. Both for each speakers, we will take around 15 minutes. Is that right? And next, after the negotiation, we will have a discussion, questions and answers from both. Alright, would you please present the slide of the presentation?
Hello again. I will start again so that the people at the back can hear. I want to thank you, the university and the director and all of the academics and all of you students for hosting me here today in your beautiful university. I'm going to speak to you about Industrial Revolution 4.0, and we're going to look at some of the challenges for science education, for biology, chemistry, physics education. I am also going to ask Dr. Agung to help with translating as well. So in this presentation today, just to give you an outline, it is worthwhile looking at the previous industrial revolutions, because many parts of the world are still in the earlier industrial revolutions. And to understand where we are now, we need to understand where we have come from. I'm going to briefly speak about some of the issues and challenges that our world faces that I believe science education can help with. And then I'd like to speak about what that means for you as educators, future educators in universities and in schools. I will speak a little bit about how we need to change the way that we teach. And then I will finish with a study that was done at Deakin University in Victoria, Australia, where they did a study to look at what are the jobs of the future. What will the children that we teach today do for employment? So I'm going to have a little history lesson first. So when I went to school, when we studied physics, we learnt about flight, we learnt about Bernoulli's principle, and thrust, and friction. And I put this photo here because it was only just over 100 years ago that humans first flew. That is, they got off the ground and were able to stay off the ground. Only just over 100 years ago. It's very recent. What is more amazing is that less than 70 years later, we went from getting the first aircraft off the ground to getting a man on the moon. To me, that is the wonder of science, that in less than 70 years, we went from no flight to sending a man to the moon. And many of you will know that we have been celebrating the 50th anniversary of man's landing on the moon. The reason that is relevant to me is that I was a child in 1969 when this happened. I was in primary school, and my teacher took us to her house because we didn't have a television at school, and we went to her house and we sat in front of a tiny little box that had a black and white picture, and we watched the first human step onto the moon, onto another heavenly body. And I remember thinking, I want to be a scientist. I want to study science. And I think for all of you, you may have had that moment where a teacher or a parent or a friend did something, or you saw something that made you want to become a scientist. So for me, this was an amazing thing to happen. What is, I think, more amazing is that 1 year later, 1970, Voyager, which is a satellite, was also sent off from Earth, and Voyager 1 is now 21 billion kilometres from our Earth. It has now left the solar system and will continue on. So part of this is humans' ingenuity, so humans' inventiveness, their innovation, their creativity. So we might think, well, everything has been done, except in 2019, this year, the US announced that they want to land humans on Mars, on the planet Mars, by 2033. So, the students that you are teaching now, or that you will teach in the future, they will watch humans go to Mars. So this is why science is wonderful. But how do we do that? How do we prepare our students? I said that I would say a little bit about the other industrial revolutions. So I want to take you through the first, second and third because it helps to explain where we are now. And also, as I said, for some people, they are still in the first industrial revolution. So a challenge for us is how do we help all people to move forward. So
baik saudara-saudara, Phil meminta saya untuk memberi penjelasan sedikit bahasa. Jadi tadi Profesor Phil Dawson menceritakan bagaimana perkembangan sains menjadi sangat menarik dan sangat menakjubkan, kaitannya nanti dengan bagaimana revolusi industri itu juga terjadi. Nah, tadi Profesor Phil menceritakan bagaimana penemuan-penemuan sains, diantaranya bagaimana sains juga memberi pengaruh terhadap peristiwa atau sejarah orang bisa terbang pertama kali, meskipun terbang hanya di atas permukaan tanah beberapa saat, sampai dengan yang terakhir adalah bagaimana misi yang dilakukan oleh para peneliti di Amerika bahwa di tahun 2033 bisa jadi nanti manusia bisa mendarat di Mars dan hidup di Mars. That's all science. Ini yang kita sebut sebagai sains dan perkembangannya, termasuk aplikasinya, dan ini hal-hal yang menakjubkan. Nah, dalam hal ini Phil akan melanjutkan bagaimana sains itu memberi pengaruh dan menjadi basis bagi perkembangan revolusi industri.
So if we start with the first industrial revolution, it went from approximately the 1760s to the 1860s, and it's often called the age of mechanical production. So countries were able to harness steam power, and what it led is for different countries moving from a traditional agriculture and moving towards factories, industry, mechanics. It also led to the first railways, to large metal ships that could travel further to factories. And the piece of equipment in the diagram, it's called a spinning jenny. The spinning jenny was used to make fabric. So previously, fabric had been made in the home and only enough for the family to use. With the spinning jenny, it meant that there could be mass production of fabrics so that there was enough to sell and enough to make into clothes that would be sold. So it changed the economy of countries. I want to also, because I am a biologist, I want to also point out some of the health things that happened during that first industrial revolution. Because prior to that, people died by the age of 40. So at the age of 40, you were an old person. So there were two famous biologists, Robert Koch and Louis Pasteur. So Robert Koch came up with what's called germ theory, that if you have a disease, it is caused by a living organism, by a bacteria or a virus. Louis Pasteur was able to show that with sterilization, you could stop infections. So what this meant is you could store food. So prior to that, if people tried to store food and it was contaminated, people died. So with this little instrument in the photo called a swan neck flask, Louis Pasteur was able to show that if the material was sterilized, no bacteria would grow. It transformed society.
Baik, yang pertama adalah revolusi industri yang pertama itu dimulai ketika adanya produksi alat-alat mekanik. Tadi dicontohkan yaitu spinning jenny salah satunya, di mana yang tadinya pembuatan kain itu merupakan proses yang dilakukan secara tradisional di rumah, maka pembuatan kain itu kemudian dilakukan bisa dilakukan secara besar-besaran lewat alat spinning jenny tadi. Kemudian tidak hanya dari aspek fisik, pada periode pertama ini Robert Koch dan Louis Pasteur juga berhasil memberi kontribusi berupa perkembangan teori yang pertama, yaitu tentang germs and sterilization. Dan ini memberi implikasi besar terhadap bagaimana perkembangan ilmu pengetahuan sains dalam rangka perkembangan fisik maupun biologi.
So then we get to the second industrial revolution, which was also called the age of science and mass production. And this was a move towards what we call large-scale manufacturing. Electricity was available to use. We had the use of fuels, oil, gas, liquid petroleum, steel. So again, for vehicles, for planes. We also had the development of the combustion engine. We had synthetics for clothes, so we had nylon, plastics. We had the development of fertilizers, which changed agriculture. In communication, we had the telephone, and in transport, we had cars, planes, being made available on a domestic use. This completely transformed people's lives. From a health perspective, there are two major developments which help to increase life expectancy. The first being the development of antibiotics with Alexander Fleming, which was completely accidental, but it did change lives. And then we also had the introduction internationally of mass immunisation. And I'll use the example of polio, which in many countries, but not all, polio has been eradicated. So I know in Indonesia, you see on the photo, we still have the mass immunisation campaigns to prevent children from getting polio.
Baik, pada periode kedua, melanjutkan periode pertama tadi adalah ada proses yang berjalan beriringan antara perkembangan sains dan produksi massal, di mana pada periode kedua revolusi industri ini banyak sekali dihasilkan alat-alat mekanik yang mampu digunakan untuk proses-proses produksi lebih banyak lagi. Kemudian pada bidang kesehatan, berkembangnya konsep sekaligus praksis antibiotik dan imunisasi massal. Yang menarik, Profesor Phil memberi contoh imunisasi yang ada di Indonesia. Ini masih menjadi PR besar kita selama ini.
So we're nearly at modern times, third industrial revolution, which some would say is still continuing. It's often called the digital revolution. So we have the introduction of electronics, the microprocessor, transistors. This meant that computers and other communication instruments could be miniaturized, made smaller. I see here that nearly everybody has a mobile phone. You're part of the third industrial revolution. We also have the internet. We also have automation around things like banking, internet banking, and also advances in biotechnology. From a medical perspective, a biology perspective, it's really only in the last 50 years that organ transplantation, the technology, the biotechnology has been advanced. So 1953 was when the first kidney transplant occurred, and like Fleming accidentally discovering penicillin, the first kidney transplant that was successful in humans was between twins. And they survived because they were twins. And then the first heart transplant was 1981, again because they had realised they needed to match the tissues. We also have genetic modification, which is a socio-scientific issue. In Australia, internationally, all insulin for diabetes is genetically modified. Also, most of our soy and corn, which is used for food, is genetically modified to be resistant to pesticides.
Pada periode ketiga, yang juga masih berlangsung sampai dengan saat ini, ditandai dengan revolusi besar-besaran lewat dunia digital, di mana terjadi proses automatisasi dari berbagai proses, antaranya komunikasi, perkembangan alat komunikasi, mikroprosesor, internet, dan dalam bidang biologi misalnya juga praktek-praktek kesehatan yang jauh lebih berkembang dan lebih baik. Yang dicontohkan di sini adalah proses transplantasi baik itu ginjal maupun transplantasi jantung yang sudah dilakukan sebelumnya. Selain transplantasi, pada revolusi industri ketiga ini ada satu yang menarik, yaitu berkembangnya konsep modifikasi genetic modified organisms. Misalnya di sini contohkan ada keselin, ada kedelai, kemudian ada jagung, dan saya rasa ini juga tidak asing bagi kita semua sekarang.
So here we are now. We have the fourth industrial revolution, and just as that photo shows, that little puppy thinks that the robot dog is a real dog. And we can talk about the fourth industrial revolution as being where we have merging or joining of different technologies. So we have merging of physical and digital and biological technologies. The technologies are designed to be intelligent and also autonomous or automatic. So some examples, and I think some of our keynote speakers here today will speak about those. We have advanced data analytics, and advanced data analytics is important in education to help us monitor learning. We have the field of robotics. We have 3D printing, where we can make physical objects. We also have driverless vehicles. This slide here, this is at Curtin University, where Dr. Agung did his PhD. Curtin University is the first Australian university to have a driverless vehicle. So it is a bus and it carries 8 people and it drives around the campus to take students from one place to another. But because people don't trust them, they pay a student to sit on the bus all the time, just in case. And it's usually international students, so they pay them, and a student sits on the bus and does their homework while the bus is driving around the campus. But one day it will be trusted enough. We also have smart homes where you can use technology to turn on your air conditioner, to cook your food, to put your washing on, to have a little robot that vacuums the floor. And we're talking now about having smart cities as well. The field of nanotechnology, where we're able to have make different fabrics. The reason these are important is this is all physics and chemistry and biology. And then we have artificial intelligence. That's a smart city. In terms of health, certainly what we're looking at in Australia now is what's called telehealth, where with people who are in remote communities, there can be a central person at a large hospital and a robot that is in the remote areas can take blood samples, can administer chemotherapy or drugs to patients, and then monitor their response. So that's one way that we are using the 4th industrial technology.
Baik, untuk periode keempat yang sekarang menjadi isu paling menarik, yaitu revolusi industri keempat yang ditandai dengan proses interdisciplinary technology, baik itu yang berbasis fisik, biology maupun chemistry. Jadi dalam hal ini yang perlu kita perhatikan bahwa di era revolusi industri keempat ini sebenarnya sains itu tidak lagi bisa dianggap atau dipandang berdiri sendiri, tapi sebaliknya fisik, biology, and chemistry itu bisa bekerja sama dan harus diimplementasikan secara bersama-sama menjadi emerging technology. Revolusi industri keempat, hal-hal yang paling menonjol diantaranya adalah artificial intelligence, kemudian ada nanotechnology, kemudian pengembangan dan pemanfaatan robot untuk menggantikan tenaga manusia. Ini yang menjadi tantangan bagi kita sebagai manusia. Jangan-jangan nanti fungsi kita itu sudah tidak lagi dianggap.
So with this technology, this is occurring while there are many global issues, socio-scientific issues that are facing humanity, many challenges. You will all, I think, have seen this slide. So we have the UNESCO Sustainability Development Goals. So this lists 17 of the most pressing problems that we have in humanity. If you look at these, even the first 3 or 4, no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, they're all about education. And if we go a little bit further, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, industry, innovation and infrastructure, they're all about science, biology, chemistry and physics. We also have some other problems that haven't actually made it to these goals, but are affecting our young people. So we do have uncertainty about the future in terms of wars and unrest. We have disruption occurring in society which can happen very quickly, and we've seen that happen in the Middle East, in countries and in some parts of Indonesia as well, where there can be civil unrest. We also, in Australia, we have issues with young people and their mental health. So, for example, we have suicide is the #1 cause of death for adolescents that are between the ages of 15 and 24. And it seems that no matter how much money we spend, the rate is not going down, and it's very distressing for our society. There are concerns with the 4th Industrial Revolution that there will be mass unemployment. That is an issue that needs to be thought about as well. And then, despite all our advances with antibiotics, with healthcare, with sterilisation, we still have millions of people every year dying of preventable diseases. We still have malaria. We still have tuberculosis. We still have influenza. Every year in Australia, so we have free vaccinations for influenza in Australia. Every year, 3,000 people die of influenza, even though everyone is able to be vaccinated and the vaccine is free for at-risk groups. 3,000 people die every year. So, despite all of these advances, we still have these things to deal with.
Baik, melanjutkan dari apa yang disampaikan Profesor Will tadi, di samping sejarah, kita itu melihat bagaimana sejarah revolusi industri dari pertama sampai keempat, ada aspek lain yang perlu kita pelajari bersama dalam masa-masa kontemporer saat ini, yaitu yang pertama adalah tantangan untuk bisa memenuhi Sustainable Development Goals, 17 target pembangunan berkelanjutan. Jadi pada periode sebelumnya itu ada Education for Sustainable Development, sekarang ada Sustainable Development Goals. Nah, di antara 17 itu kita bisa melihat tadi ada beberapa aspek yang berkaitan sangat kuat dengan sains, baik itu misalnya kelaparan, kesehatan, pendidikan, dan ini dirangkum oleh Profesor Veil. Setidaknya ada 5 masalah penting yang menjadi concern kita semua, yaitu adanya ketidakpastian masa depan, kemudian masalah sosial yang berkaitan dengan proses atau gejala disrupsi, kesehatan mental masyarakat. Tadi Profesor Veil memberi contoh di Australia itu usia muda, dewasa awal itu banyak mengalami masalah kesehatan mental yang menyebabkan mereka memilih bunuh diri. Mudah-mudahan di Indonesia nggak ada ya, kecuali mungkin putus cinta malah bunuh diri. Jika termasuk adanya pengangguran karena ada tadi misalnya di revolusi industri keempat ada penciptaan robot-robot yang tadi saya sampaikan, itu sebenarnya memberikan tantangan bagi kita bahwa boleh jadi fungsi kita sebagai manusia itu nanti semuanya digantikan oleh robot sehingga kita mampu. Dan terakhir kita masih bermasalah dengan endemi beberapa penyakit, diantaranya malaria, ada TBC, flu. Saya ingat sekitar 2 bulan yang lalu di Australia itu dilaporkan ada wabah flu besar-besaran, bahkan yang meninggal itu bisa sampai 3 kali lipat dari tahun sebelumnya.
So what does this mean for the future of science education? What will our schools look like? And then after that, what will we need to focus on in education? So some of the future trends. So this little robot here is called Ruby, and Ruby is 1 meter high, and our Department of Engineering made her, and she goes out to schools and can speak in a simple way. So future trends with schools. It is thought that there will be more beings like Ruby that are produced, that are able to do the things that humans can do, but also do things that machines can do. Another thing, and this is well on the way, are what are called chatbots. And chatbots are intended to, they're small robots, and they will provide encouragement to children, and the initial ones are for children with special needs or with disability. So if you can imagine a little robot like this that is with the child all the time, that will say, how are you feeling? Do you want to eat? Do you need to go to the bathroom? You need to turn off the computer. Will stay with the child all the time and will talk to and encourage the child. It is also felt that there will also be chatbots for early childhood for 0 to 5-year-olds. That will be like a comfort toy that goes with the child through their schooling. So when they go to school, we'll say, have you got your lunch? Do you have your sun hat? Give me a hug if you feel sad. So they will be with the child all the time, so if their parents can't be there. It's thought that artificial intelligence will be able to help create collaborative learning environments as well. And also, in terms of data analytics, that learning programs will be able to have one-on-one teaching for the child. So they will look at what the child has learned and they will design learning that is one-on-one. So at the moment we might have one teacher and 30, 40, 50 children. There will be one little robot per child.
Baik, yang menjadi pertanyaan besar adalah lantas bagaimana pendidikan sains, science education untuk menghadapi dinamika revolusi industri sekaligus berbagai macam tantangan tadi. Yang pertama, survei menegaskan bahwa salah satu aspek penting dari pendidikan sains yaitu mulainya pengenalan atau pemahaman tentang apa itu artificial intelligence dan penerapannya. Di sini survei memberikan contoh, ada banyak beberapa robot yang sudah diciptakan, dikembangkan dan diuji coba untuk membantu kehidupan manusia. Jadi seperti contohnya ada chatbox tadi, chatbox yang kemudian dimanfaatkan untuk menemani seseorang anak yang berkebutuhan khusus. Kalau saudara-saudara terutama yang mungkin generasi milenial pernah menonton film Big Hero 6, ada film Big Hero 6, there is a movie Big Hero 6 kartun, ceritanya dia menciptakan robot dan salah satunya robot yang memang membantu untuk mengevaluasi kesehatan dan sebagainya. Ini menarik. Dan yang paling penting dan yang kedua yaitu ini memberi implikasi pada berubahnya learning environments, adaptive learning environments. Tadi yang seperti digambarkan oleh Profesor Phil, boleh jadi nanti proses belajar tidak lagi 1:30, tetapi bisa jadi dilakukan 1:1, 1:1, tetapi tidak secara langsung, melainkan lewat dunia maya. Ini menjadi salah satu hal yang dicontoh.
And that's an example of a little chatbot that a child may have that's able to speak to them. So what will our schools and universities look like? What will our teaching be like? If we think about the teaching context that we teach in, we need to ensure that they are authentic, have open-ended problems. You won't have every child doing the same thing, and will be extended. Now, I'm hoping that this link will work. Right. I want you to watch this little video. It goes for 2 minutes.
To make phone calls?
No.
Can I?
Why would you do that? Well, I was always taught by my parents and my grandparents to always respect the land that we live on. So what is your project like? So there was like this foundry, but they actually put like arsenic on pots and pans. One of our students has been selected as a finalist to attend the International Science and Engineering Fair in Los Angeles.
How are you doing? No, I don't have. We can do an last Inevitably, our job as the next generation to tackle this. Combine our products, I could detect it and you could cure it.
Is about being moral in the way that you behave. Because as adults, you know that sometimes we have to make difficult decisions if we have limited resources or limited economics. So ethical thinking is, how do we make a decision that is going to be the best for as many people as possible? So these are these so-called transferability skills. We also have critical and creative thinking. I put them together, but they are different. So critical thinking is about thinking rationally and logically when you need to make a decision. Being creative is about being innovative, of coming up with new ideas that haven't been thought of before. And then resilience. I mentioned before with the problem that we have in Australia around young people and mental health. It's now thought that our schools need to do more work in developing young people's resilience. So what is resilience? Resilience is being able to cope in a stressful situation, in a long-term stressful situation. I do believe, and I am a teacher educator as well as a researcher, so I teach young people. They're going into teaching, science teaching. It can be a stressful occupation. You work really hard. Sometimes your students are naughty, maybe not in Indonesia, but in Australia, sometimes our students are naughty. Teachers have to get good results for their children. It can be very stressful, and they have a family and friends and lots of bills to pay. So when I teach my students, I look at strategies to help build their resilience, like taking time to relax, exercising, eating properly, keeping in contact with friends. It's very important.
Baik, ada beberapa hal yang ingin ditekankan tadi. Mungkin dalam ini konsep atau pengertian dari beberapa teknologi. Yang pertama adalah cognitive empathy. Boleh jadi kita di sini baru mendengar atau mungkin hal-hal yang katakanlah dulu biasa kita menggunakan istilah ini, cognitive empathy. Jadi yang ditekankan oleh Profesor di sini belajar saat ini, proses belajar dalam bidang sains itu salah satu kemampuan pentingnya adalah decision making. Nah, decision making skills ini dalam masa revolusi industri ternyata memberi implikasi kepada aspek sosial, bahwa kita sebisa mungkin membuat keputusan atau membuat keputusan terhadap suatu persoalan itu tidak hanya melihat dari perspektif yang tunggal, tetapi multi perspektif. Jadi ditekankan tadi adalah istilah multi perspektif thinking. Di samping itu juga ada ethical thinking. Ethical thinking ini value based behavior. Jadi kalau sebelumnya ada cognitive empathy, maka sekarang ada ethical empathy, ini bersamaan. Kalau kita sudah punya cognitive empathy, maka ketika kita juga bisa menerapkan ethical thinking, kita bisa memikirkan kita dalam keputusan kita memikirkan kepentingan orang lain juga, kepentingan kita sendiri. Dan yang terakhir tadi, saya rasa kalau ethical dan kreatif kita sudah terbiasa. Dan yang terakhir yang resilience tadi, ini juga berkaitan dengan mental health. Bagaimana kita menghadapi stres, ini ternyata juga menjadi implikasi besar terhadap proses pendidikan sains saat ini.
Thank you. I think the next four are fairly self-explanatory. So we do want our young people to be able to work in teams, even with people that they may not like. All young people need to learn that. We want our young people to have a high standard of written and oral communication. And we also want the mindset that you don't go to school, leave school, and then work in one job, that you learn for the rest of your life. And finally, digital literacy is important. We also want to develop these habits of mind, and I don't think I need to say very much about them. We want our young people to be curious, to ask questions. We want them to be imaginative, innovative, and flexible in their thinking. So what are they going to do in the future? This is from the study 100 Jobs of the Future, and I said earlier that there is concern, particularly in Australia, about unemployment. It is certain that some jobs will become automated and will go in terms of retail, and we know already from websites like Amazon, you don't need to go to the shop anymore. You can buy your things online. And a lot of clerical work around banking and sales. But there will be other jobs. And the good news for you as science educators is that there will be an increased demand for science and mathematics skills in the jobs of the future, in terms of data analysts, software developers, robotics, engineers, bioprinting. Some new jobs that are thought to become available that don't exist now is an artificial intelligence educator, because as more robots are developed, they will need to be programmed to be able to educate appropriately. It's also thought that there will, when we have lifelong learning, that there will be advisors, and even there will be aged care educators who work with people who are 80 years and over to help them with their education. And then some other jobs that it's thought that there will be. We have in Australia aged care workers, but to maintain health, there will be health workers that work with the aged. There will be what are called health shapers, so that work not only with your exercise, your fitness, your diet, your mental health, but will work across all of your health, and you will have an app that monitors. So it will say, have you been to the gym today? Have you done your walking? You don't need that second helping of food. It's thought that all large organisations will have chief ethics officers. So our university has a chief financial officer, it has a chief marketing officer, it has a chief operations officer. We don't have a chief ethics officer, but we might need one. And the last job there, it's thought that as we need to rely on foods that are less damaging to the environment, that crickets, little insects that are a very good source of protein, there will be farmers that grow crickets rather than beef.
Ya, jadi ini adalah gambaran dari apa yang dielaborasikan oleh Profesor Bell. Kita tidak perlu khawatir sebenarnya berkaitan dengan pekerjaan masa depan, asalkan kita mau adaptif. Ini kata kuncinya, asalkan kita mau adaptif. Ini masih ada beberapa bidang pekerjaan yang sangat potensial yang bisa kita geluti, bisa kita peroleh dalam konteks berbasis science education. Jadi banyak misalnya ada data analisis, kemudian pengembang software, kemudian juga pengajak dalam bidang artificial intelligence, gitu ya. Nah ini yang menarik, mungkin terjadi karena berangkat dari konteks Australia, early childhood educators dan tadi yang disebut sebagai pendidikan untuk orang-orang usia tua, karena memang beda konteks. Kebetulan kalau di Australia itu orang-orang pensiun, orang-orang sepuh itu memang sudah tidak lagi bersama keluarganya, sehingga mereka butuh pendidikan yang cukup untuk bisa memahami bagaimana kehidupan mereka. Early childhood educators, termasuk untuk kalau untuk early childhood educators, pendidikan anak usia dini ini juga saya rasa juga tidak asing lagi di kita di Indonesia, sudah menjadi salah satu concern besar kita bersama. Dan yang menarik adalah pekerjaan-pekerjaan yang mungkin belum terpikirkan saat ini dari kita. Ya, ada tadi disebutkan ada health worker, health shaper, bagaimana kita bisa menjadi advisor ya, mengingatkan atau membimbing orang dalam hal menjaga kesehatan. Ini sepertinya juga menarik. Kita menjadi advisor untuk kesehatan orang. Tapi kita harus sehat dulu ya. Dan yang terakhir ini saya rasa kalau di Indonesia ini not really new in Indonesia for cricket farmer because cricket in Indonesia has to be food for birds, and Indonesian people really like birds. Jadi birds as a pet. Yeah, jadi the job is already here. So it's traditional yes. Alright, so ini beberapa bidang pekerjaan ya. Jadi siapa tahu di antara Anda bisa mengembangkan selain cricket farmers, ada mungkin yang lain, apa misalnya belalang yang di sini juga sudah banyak, dan cacing juga ini sudah banyak juga.
So I want to finish off. This is my last slide, and I want to finish off in a very positive way. At the start of my presentation, I said that in 1903, we first got humans off the ground. It took thousands and thousands of years to get to that point, and in the last 100 years or so, we are where we are now, where we have technology like these little nanobots. They don't exist yet. This is not a real photo. But already we have drugs that are able to be targeted to deliver toxins and drugs to cancer cells. So I say to you, many of you are young, you're in your 20s, you are going to be teachers for the next 20, 30, 40 years. You're going to be teaching in a very exciting time in the fourth industrial revolution. and I think the future is looking healthy, particularly in Indonesia. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Penutup yang tadi memberikan harapan besar kepada kita semua dalam hal ini untuk mengembangkan sains Indonesia. Alright, next we will have the second speaker, Professor Osgolis Masdusenis.
mengembangkan Aceh sebagai obat.
Say hi to all of you, and I want to say thanks for the campus committee for inviting me to be this speech. And I would like to share some of my experience with researchers and science educators with you. And I saw some students that I already sharing my experiences during my seminar. I'm seeing some familiar faces, so welcome again. And today I will share some different information, but also some issues. So you will listen to us today.
Itu tuh simpen aja.
Okay.
Bisa klik stiker itu cepet.
Again, for the ones who don't know where I'm from and my university, I would like to talk about a little bit about that. Then I will move into my presentation. So, I'm a professor at Mendeles Technical University in the Department of Mathematics and Science Education. Basically, I'm a professor in science education. Do you hear me? Okay, good. So my university is Mendeles Technical University. We have motto, we are saying that together we can change the world. So where we are located, you see Turkey here, and Europe, and Asia. So basically we are transnational, transcontinental country, and we have 3 campuses in Turkey. My main campus in Ankara, founded in 1956. The second campus is in Erdemli, Mersin, founded in 1975. And the third campus is in Northern Cyprus, founded in 2000. So METÜ's, Mendeles Technical University's mission is to attain excellence in research, education, public service for society, humanity and nature in an environment nurturing creative and critical thinking, innovation, leadership and universal values. So, METÜ is a leading international university in the region and aims to transform its region and the world. Okay, of course, together we can do that. So this is the main campus, and you may see the forest around here. And I would like to say, all these trees are planted by students and teachers at the university. For 60 years, we have this forest. So we have a very huge land, and all these mountains are all belong to nature. All these, you can see okay, so all these mountains, they are all belong to nature. We have very long, very big area. And this lake is also belong to nature. This area, Avon Lake. And we do lots of investigations in this lake, and also students do some sports activities in nature. So Turkey's private state research university, METÜ, and established with an international mandate and international vision. And English is the medium of all courses in METÜ. So English, we teach courses in English. So basically we have 5 faculties in our university. So arts and sciences, engineering, architecture, education, economics and administrative sciences. So engineering faculty is the best faculty in Turkey, also graduates from this faculty also having jobs around the world as well as other faculties, education and science. So we have institutes, we have 5 institutes: natural and applied sciences, social sciences, informatics, mathematics, and marine sciences. Okay, now I move on to the presentation for today. Okay, when we say science, we always see technology next to it. Since we are the science teacher, researchers in science education, we always deal with technology. Without technology, we can't talk about science today. As Dolson explained it very well. So without technology, we hardly speak science today. But why